Good morning. Calling the roll for the Monday, June 13th Board of Control meeting. It is 11:01. Nan Baker. Here. Dale Miller.
Here.
Joe Nani serving as an alternate for Purnell Jones.
Here.
Nicole English serving as an alternate for Mike Dever.
Here.
Lee Tucker serving as an alternate for the fiscal officer.
Here.
Paul Porter.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, moving on, let's review the minutes from last week, June 6th. Are there any corrections for the record? Hearing none, I make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. English. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Any public comment?
No public comment.
Moving on to contracts and awards.
First item, BC 2022-357, Department of Public Works, submitting an amendment to a contract with T&G Flying Club Incorporated for lease of office space and aircraft tie-down fees at the Cuyahoga County Airport Safety Building, Area B, Suites G through L, at 26300 Curtis Wright Parkway, City of Richmond Heights, for the period January 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2022, to extend the time period to June 30th, 2024, and for additional revenue in the amount not to exceed $38,826.
Good morning, Madam Chair. John Myers on behalf of the Department of Public Works, here to present a two-year lease for approval with T&G. This is a revenue-generating lease in a county-owned building at the airport that is utilized by this flying school and charter service. We're continuing this lease. They've been there for a number of years. They've been at the airport for decades and one of the oldest schools in the state. And this is a total amount for the 2 years of $38,826.
Thank you. Are there any questions on this item? Hearing none, I make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item,
Thank
BC
you.
2022-358, Department of Development, submitting an RFP exemption which will result in a payment to Team NEO Foundation in the amount of $40,000 for operating support to engage a consultant for site assessment and development analysis of available sites in Cuyahoga County for future development by private sector employers for the period June 7th, 2022 through December 31st, 2022, and recommending the payment in connection with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Paul Herdig with the Department of Development. We're kind of excited about this project. This is the first time we've systematically used data and worked with our two partners, with the Planning Commission and Team NEO, to really take a good thorough look at what land is available county-wide for business growth and perhaps business attraction. So our County Planning Commission colleagues have done a lot of the work already, doing the research and assembling a list of over 150 potential sites. What we're doing today is we're providing some funding to Team NEO to go along with funding they've already received from the Fund for Economic Future. And together, we're going to hire a real estate consultant. And that consultant's going to help us kind of drill down to some of the most promising sites and make sure they're completely ready for exposure to the market.
Thank you. Are there any questions on this item? Councilman Miller?
I was just curious, is the data that's currently compiled available publicly, like on a website or so, or how do people access the information?
Thank you, Joe. Good question. We're not quite ready, and it's actually more of a matter of working with the municipal leaders because they are the ones that have to help us promote the sites. It is, however, not a secret, and I can share it and gladly would share that list with the Board of Control.
So,
Miller?
just a comment that I also am excited and think this is a good idea. For a county like ours that's mostly built out, that if we're going to be effective in attracting some larger deals, we have to know where there's workable sites available and make sure that they're ready to go. And I know when the businesses come in looking for something, they usually want to move yesterday. And so I think this will be money well spent and help us do some things.
So in your comment, and this does seem exciting also, but just cautioning the cities, they in the past submitted specific sites to be considered for statewide promotion. So is there any concern that any of these municipalities might not want some of their land used for certain purposes and maybe zoning laws or maybe just the type of businesses that might want it that they may not want to welcome? Is there any thought there?
Thanks, Councilwoman. Excellent question, and I could talk for a long time about this, but I won't. I will simply say that zoning is an important factor here, and part of the information that we have to make sure is available is what is the zoning of each parcel of land.
Okay, so you're looking at all available land and working with the municipalities to make sure that we don't try and change perhaps their dynamics?
Not try and change, but there may be situations where the consultant might say, boy, this is a great parcel, and it doesn't look like it's right in the middle of a residential area, so maybe the city might consider a change of zoning, but it would be the city's option to do that zoning change.
Good, so it always comes back to the city for local control.
It does.
Thank you.
Paul, who will be hiring the real estate consultant? Team Neo?
We will be working with Team Neo as a funder. We'll have a voice in that selection. And so last time I checked, it's Bryce Sylvester I work with over there. They were out for RFP and hadn't started the review process yet.
Just because the county, Public Works has a real estate consultant, and part of our contract is that they're supposed to be our exclusive agent. So I just want to be sure that's separate if Team Neo's hiring them, we're good.
It is, yes.
Any additional questions? Hearing no additional questions, I make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2022-359, Department of Information Technology, submitting an amendment to a contract with Infor Public Sector Incorporated for software licenses, maintenance, and support for the enterprise resource planning software for the period October 27th, 2016 through October 26th, 2026, to modify the scope of services by extending the use of a workforce management test instance from July 5th, 2022 through to January 4th, 2023, to support project implementation, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $12,000.
Good morning, Janelle Green, Department of IT. This $12,000 cost is to allow us to utilize a test environment, which allows our ERP team to go in and put in test coding and to try out patches and things before they're pushed to the production system. And so we are utilizing this system to allow us to use data that we already had in the system to make tweaks as we move forward to rolling out the rest of the WFM to the rest of the county.
Thank you. Are there any questions on this item? Councilman Miller?
Why is this item showing dates that are already in the past?
So this is going on to our licensing contract. When we moved forward with the Infor contract, we had different contracts. So this particular agreement is for the licensing contract. When we initially engaged with Infor back in 2016, that term is a 10-year term, which ends 10/26 of 2026. So for this portion that we're trying to add, this starts July 5th, carrying on to January 4th of 2023. So to go further with that, the licensing agreement that we have with Infor, it's again, it's 10 years, so we do pay an annual cost to utilize the ERP system.
Okay.
Okay.
Any additional questions? Hearing no additional questions, I make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Nani. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2022-360, Department of Information Technology, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in an award recommendation to Infor Public Sector Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $22,600 for additional technical consulting and project management oversight services for go-live, post-go-live, and final project closure of the workforce management project implementation for the period March 1st, 2022 through April 30th, 2022. And recommending the award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Janelle Green, Department of IT. This purchase order is to cover the final cost on the ERP implementation project. We did have 3 resources leave the county during this time. So we needed to have further assistance in order to help us with the rollout of the WFM portion of the project.
Any questions on this item?
So what do you mean by 3 resources left? And if they did leave, would that make up the difference of what it is that you're spending?
When I say resources, they were internal employees.
Okay,
So we
those-
needed to have some additional bodies in order to get this thing live. So we did have to reach out to N4 to provide assistance. They already had consultants working with us. This required more of their time to cover the pieces that those other internal employees were doing.
The savings from the internal employees that left doesn't make up the difference for what we have to pay to replace them?
I mean, there would still be, we would still add on more cost to this part of the contract. We would still need to do this process in order to cover the cost.
So on one side of the ledger, we probably see.
Is a decrease, and then this one had to increase, but we still have to go to this process to do this amendment to cover that increase.
Okay, that's good, thanks.
Thank you.
There's no questions? Hearing none, I make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by, who was that, Nan Baker? Oh, Councilman Baker.
Someone over there.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2022-361, Department of Sustainability, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in a grant award to Rid All Foundation, doing business as the Rid All Green Partnership, in the amount not to exceed $350,000 to support the Cleveland Tree Coalition Urban Tree Nursery Initiative, effective upon contract signature through December 31st, 2026, and recommending the grant award in connection with said RFP exemption.
Mike Foley, Department of Sustainability. So this is continuing kind of our endeavor to increase the urban tree canopy, tree footprint in the county. This project will be to develop an urban tree farm with Rid-All, which is a nonprofit organization in the Kinsman area. We will be giving them money to help with collecting seeds, containing putting in containers, buying equipment needed to start up this tree farm in the Kinsman area. I should say that this came out of kind of this, when we did our first set of grants in 2019, one of the ideas is that we wanted to make sure that as we give out resources or dollars for communities to grow trees in the community, we wanted them to be as locally generated as possible. So this is kind of coming up with an idea that we've got a local tree nursery in the county that can provide those trees for communities that we want to increase canopy for. So respectfully ask you to support this project and go forward.
Are there any questions on this item? Councilman Miller?
Yes, first, I strongly support the initiative. It will, when trees are planted, it's a challenge to ensure that they're healthy and gonna last, and having the nursery supply quality trees that have been started is going to help a lot with that. My question is how does this program get maintained after 2026?
The idea is that they will be selling trees, so there's a cost for communities to buy the trees, and that by 2026, the amount of income coming in from the sale of trees will cover the cost that Rid-All needs to ensure that they've got staff on the ground at the farm. They also are a nonprofit. They do fundraising. So the idea is that there's enough revenue coming in from both fundraising that they do locally, but also through the sale of trees.
Who are they going to be selling the trees to?
They would be selling them to, Rocky River, to, communities that are, hopefully we're going to continue planting trees in their community. Lakewood, nonprofit groups that are doing large plantings of trees, they can also sell to individuals.
So it would be people who are doing urban canopy programs in addition to what we're funding through our annual program.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, well, I hope that works well.
Me too.
So thanks for this, and this is a new venture, so we'll have to see how it all plays out. On their, on the budget that you gave us, the, it shows a loss up until the final fourth year, and then it shows a gross profit for this nonprofit of 28.8. Is that what
Is
we're
it
looking at?
28 or 23?
It could be 23, yes, 23.8.
Mhm.
How is it that it jumps like that, makes up the difference? The fundraising doesn't look like it goes up much higher.
They're just selling more trees, so
I think there's a jump from 105 to 170.
mhm.
Wow, okay,
So the estimate is $20 per tree, right?
Yeah.
So they're small trees, right?
right,
And that by year 4, they'll be selling 7,000 trees, and so that's
Okay.
where you get the 140 from.
okay. And then their personnel costs also is, the total here is what, 350, and 108 of that is spent on people?
Yes.
Taxes?
Mhm.
Yeah. Does that seem in line to you?
I think so.
Just a
So
third
every
of that?
year, I think as they grow, they're going to be adding in one new staff person a year.
They'll be able to make up that and sustain it after this money is run out?
That's what we believe. Yeah, that's what we're trusting them to do.
And then we have another.
And look, I should say that these guys are pretty good. I mean, they're very successful. They've been running an urban kind of farm network. They do composting. They do aquaculture. They're an ongoing operation. They've been working in Kinsman now for about 6, 7, 8 years.
Okay.
Longer than that. Okay.
Longer than that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great place. It's cool.
What are the professional fees for?
So I think they want to be able to sell trees, right? So they need a marketing plan. How do we go and tell people that we've got these trees?
So there are personnel costs in there, none of that?
Right.
Communication, assistance, that's not,
Yeah, and I think you want someone who really understands tree growing, right? So the consultant is for someone who is an expert in kind of urban forestry, I guess.
and this company that we're, Right All Green doesn't have an expert that's already in part of their,
I know they've got experts in composting. I know they've got experts in aquaculture. I
Okay.
don't know that they have someone who is an expert on tree farming. So.
okay. Well, I guess after the 5th year or 4th year, we'll see if they can sustain it, but sounds like a good initiative. Thank you.
Will you give credit to cities that plan to buy their trees from them in your applications?
Oh, I don't think we've thought about that, but that makes sense, right? So people apply for future tree grants, assuming there's money there. We say, hey, we want you to utilize Riddle. That makes a lot of sense.
Just something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions? Hearing none, I make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2022-362, Court of Common Pleas Corrections Planning Board, recommending an award and enter into an agreement with Alcohol, Drug Addiction, and Mental Health Services Board of Cuyahoga County in the amount not to exceed $500,000 for residential treatment services in connection with the Residential Substance Abuse Treatment Program for the period July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023.
Good morning. I'm Linda Lagoonzad, co-administrator with the Corrections Planning Board. The Common Pleas Court and the Corrections Planning Board are requesting authority to apply general funds to support an agreement between the court and the Adams Board to create contracts with a panel of treatment service agencies that provide residential clinical treatment services to offenders. And again, this is for 1 year, from July 2022 to June 2023. The selected agencies will provide evidence-based residential level of clinical care services for offenders with substance use disorders. The offenders are supervised by the court's Adult Probation Department. The Adams Board will oversee the agency's work and ensure they maintain necessary state standards. The Corrections Planning Board will monitor the contracts with the selected vendors, and they do so through site visits.
Are there any questions on this item? Hearing none, I make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
Thank you.
Next item, BC 2022-363, Department of Health and Human Services, Cuyahoga Job and Family Services, submitting an amendment to a contract with CBTS Technology Solutions LLC for Voice over Internet Protocol call center operations in connection with the Cuyahoga County SNAP Telework for Performance project for the period February 1st, 2021 through May 31st, 2022, to extend the time period to May 31st, 2023, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $71,175.
Good morning, Marcos Cortez with Health and Human Services on behalf of Cuyahoga Jobs and Family Services. Again, this is an amendment with CBTS to add funds and to extend the time to 5/31/2023. This vendor currently operates the VoIP call center services for CJFS. This amendment will allow the call center workers to be able to answer incoming calls using a computer and headset instead of a physical telephone. The service provided will also include recording of all calls received through the call center. Additionally, more importantly, because the same vendor operates the call center, the screens used by the workers during the calls will be recorded as well, adding an additional element of quality control. There were 2 option years on the original contract, and we are exercising the first year of those options.
Thank you. Are there any questions on this item?
Just a quick question. I think it does, but just to confirm, does the system monitor or track wait times that totally? And then the other, this might be a longer discussion for another day, but the concerns that we've had before is wait times being lengthy, and when somebody gives up and hangs up, that wait time isn't calculated into the overall formula. So if I'm on there for a half hour and I just got to go to work, it won't calculate that length. Do you know?
I do not know that.
Okay.
I did reach out to the department to get some additional metrics related to this. Unfortunately, they were able to provide that in time for this meeting, but I can follow up with them.
That'd be helpful, just because we get those calls in our office after they can't get through. Thank you.
Any additional questions? Hearing none, I make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Nani, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Moving on to exemptions.
Next item, BC 2022-364, Department of Development, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in a grant award to Cuyahoga Arts and Culture in the amount not to exceed $1,650,000 to provide support to arts and culture, mission-based nonprofit organizations in Cuyahoga County, commencing upon contract signature of all parties for a period of 1 year.
Hi, this is Laura Sims, Business Service Manager of Development. We are requesting an exemption for for arts and culture for the amount that was listed. It's to support the arts and culture-based missions in Cuyahoga County, and it is part of the general fund ARPA plan that has been put together.
Thank you. Are there any questions on this item?
Yeah, this is only for the exemption, and the actual contract will go to county council.
It is. It's scheduled to be on the agenda for the 21st.
And I was also going to say that there's a lot that will be discussed, and much of the reporting, it will be included. And I think it's important to note that, and it will be heard through council.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Are there any additional questions? Hearing none, I make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next item.
This is Laura Sims again. This is for the
Laura.
next,
Laura,
what? Oh,
I
I'm
need to
sorry, you
read
have
it
to read
into-
it first, sorry.
Thank you.
They're right in a row.
Next item, BC 2022-365, Department of Development, submitting an RFP exemption, which will result in a grant award to Arts Cleveland, doing business as Assembly for the Arts in the amount not to exceed $1,650,000 to provide support to creative businesses, workers, and individual artists based in Cuyahoga County, commencing upon contract signature for a period of all parties for a period of 1 year.
Laura Sims for the Department of Development. And this, again, is similar to the first one. The difference between the two, this one is going to be a little bit more for individual artists instead of the nonprofit organizations. It will be on the on the county council for 6/21. It's scheduled, and presentation will be done there a little bit more. And I think you had mentioned about the reporting. Reporting will be done quarterly. which is written into the contract.
Any questions on this item? Hearing none, I make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Nani. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next item.
Next item, BC 2022-366, Department of Development, submitting an RFP exemption which will result in a grant award to the Cuyahoga County Land Reutilization Corporation in the amount not to exceed $2 million to provide matching funds to leverage funding from the Ohio Department of Development Demolition and Site Revitalization Program and/or the Brownfield Remediation Program, commencing upon contract signature of all parties for a period of 3 years.
And Laura Sims from the Department of Development again. And this, again, will also be on the council agenda for the 21st. It's part of the general fund ARPA replacement provisions. And again, presentations will be made then.
Thank you. Are there any questions on this item? Hearing none, I make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item approved. Next, moving on to consent agendas.
Thank you.
We're on consent items, BC 2022-367 through 369.
Okay, take a moment to review the consent agenda items. Are there any questions on these items? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consent agenda items is approved. Moving on to public comment.
There's no other business. And for public comment, I'd just like to announce that the next meeting of the Board of Control will be held on Tuesday, June 21st, due to the Juneteenth holiday.
Thank you. There's no other business. I make a motion to approve.
If I may.
Oh, sure.
There was one question I was going to ask, and I know that that person is gone, but if we could find out the opioid one, I can't seem to see it here right now. Oh, here it is, 362. That was being paid through general fund, and maybe Paul would know the answer, but is there a reason why it didn't come out of HHS or out of the opioid fund settlement?
I don't have an answer on that, Councilwoman, but I can reach out to Linda to
Thank you,
follow up
sorry
with
for the
her.
late
Yep.
question, I just
No problem at all.
viewing it. Okay.
Much of their stuff is usually grant funded, so I'll be interested to hear the answer as well, I
Well,
suppose.
500,000 is a considerable amount of money.
For sure.
It seemed like it would come out of one of those two areas rather than general fund.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, hearing no further comments, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. English. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.